Breaking news, the jury is now deliberating the fate of Karmelo Anthony, the young black teen who stabbed a young white teen to death, killing him, robbing him of the rest of his life. Will Karmelo Anthony spend the rest of his life behind bars? This trial has gone about as well as a voyage on the Titanic for Karmelo Anthony and his defense team. Funny how all that money fundraised wasn't used on good lawyers. Instead, it was used to buy new sneakers and maybe a Carnival cruise. But that cruise ship is sinking to the bottom of the ocean. But a lifeline might have just been thrown to Karmelo Anthony and his despicable defense team. We're angry about it, and you should be too. A quick update on how this trial has gone. There were 15 witnesses that testified that Karmelo Anthony behaved like an animal inside of a tent where he didn't belong, with a knife that he shouldn't have had, at a track meet he should have never been at because he was suspended for violent behavior. Karmelo Anthony is a sad, sick, warped person who couldn't look in the eye the family who he robbed of a son, destroyed their lives. He fidgeted and stared at the floor, showed zero remorse, didn't testify in his own defense, and the witnesses that the defense brought up effectively said that he was guilty and lied and impeached their own testimony under oath. The jury is now deliberating. Karmelo Anthony, shown on body cam footage by the police, admitting that he stabbed Austin Metcalf, fleeing from the scene, showing guilt, trying to hide the murder weapon. A sick animal, quite frankly, and an animal that deserves to be incarcerated for the rest of his life. But he may have been given a lifeline right here. Manslaughter is now on the table. Not good. Heavy Sheriff's Department presence in the courthouse right now. What is happening? Well, people are posting memes like this one. The jury deliberating Karmelo Anthony's charges.
That nigga did that shit. I can feel like murder in the room.
There's a Dave Chappelle skit for everything. Closing arguments in the Karmelo Anthony trial have ended. His fate now is left to the jury imminently. The jury can decide on murder, manslaughter, or acquittal. I hope the jury serves some cold, hard justice. This is the update here, which is very bad. Manslaughter is now on the table for Karmelo Anthony. The lawyer and the judges in the case have agreed to include it in the charging documents that the jurors will consider today after closing arguments. Manslaughter is a lesser charge than what he's being charged with, murder. Manslaughter is when a person acts recklessly and takes an unjustifiable risk, but did not intend to kill. Murder is a charge with 5 to 99 years in prison. You can get only 5 years for murder. Seems wrong, but whatever. Manslaughter carries 2 to 20 years in prison. So a manslaughter charge typically would be, you were driving a car, you were staring at your phone, you popped a curb, and you hit someone. Nobody could argue that you were intended to go out and murder that day. So this is what they are trying to argue with Karmelo Anthony. Why would the lawyers ever agree to this? I'm not sure. Of course, they want a conviction, but it is the year 2026, and multiple people were stricken from the jury pool because they said they'd never convict a young black kid. Isn't it wonderful living in a colorblind meritocracy? The melting pot, isn't it amazing? Oh yeah, he totally committed murder, but because of his skin color, we're gonna let him go. Don't you just love how the American justice system works? There's a reason why they got rid of jury trials in Singapore. You should look it up. It's very interesting. Anyway, the point is that the jury, Karmelo Anthony's murder, will be allowed to consider manslaughter. This is the case they've been trying to make, which is that he just made a bad error. And, just like any kid that he just stabbed somebody straight through the heart, right into the actual heart tissue. They were able to show the autopsy photos. They horrified the jury. The jury were left agape, mouths agape, and looking away as they had the photos of the open chest wound of Austin Metcalf as this evil villain was stealing the life of this kid for nothing. I think the manslaughter charges, they enrage me because you can look through. First off, you can look at the guy's eyes. You a remorseless monster. But also all of the behavior and all the testimony. He was calling the kids slurs in the tent. He was aggressively attacking the kids. He was behaving violently in the tent. He was begging for a confrontation. He brought a knife to a school track meet. I would argue that's premeditated murder. Because if you're bringing a knife, what do you intend to do with the knife? What do you intend to do when you say, try something, see what happens? What is that? I think that's premeditation. I'm no lawyer. But when you stab someone in the chest, you didn't stab him in the arm, didn't stab him in the leg, didn't even stab him in the eye, stabbed him directly in the chest, the vital organs, attacked the vital organs. What do you think that is? That is murder. Premeditated murder. Whatever. I know there's a threshold of premeditation. People say you have to know the person, you have to have some type of experience with the person. The two had never met, which I think makes it all the more dark, evil, sinister, and demonic that they'd never met, and he just goes and takes this kid's life. I wonder if Karmelo Anthony's defense strategy is to try and mount a good enough defense to plea down to manslaughter. So maybe they're going to do a plea and say, I'm guilty. You got me. I'm guilty. We'll agree that we're guilty of manslaughter and not murder. They have three options: first degree murder, manslaughter, lesser charge, not guilty, self-defense. So that's where the jury is right now. Jury will be allowed to consider manslaughter in the Karmelo Anthony case as well. Obviously, the punishments are very different. Manslaughter, Karmelo Anthony could be out in his 30s. Like, you just go murder some kid and you could be out of prison quickly. It's horrible. I really hope the jury does the right thing and convicts Karmelo Anthony of murder. Clear-cut case with premeditation. Of course, the sentence will be left up to the judge. I don't believe the jury will compromise on murder and go for manslaughter. The closing arguments have begun. Karmelo Anthony's murder trial defense is up first. Big update regarding manslaughter. So the closing arguments, not strong, obviously, for the defense. This is bad. Well, Karmelo Anthony trial hit by a huge curveball. I could see the teenage killer get a far lighter sentence. Please let this not happen. This has been the strongest murder case. I mean, you'll notice the corporate media is not covering this at all. Left-wing media knows a loser when they see it. They're not covering this at all. They're not trying to make this kid a cause celeb. The George Floyd moment is completely done. Michael Brown moment, done. O.J. Simpson moment, done. America's over DEI. We're over wokeness. We're over allowing the disproportionate criminalization in our society that's slaughtering our children. People have had enough. We have total and complete fatigue of this suicidal subculture that's like a cancer in our nation. It is disproportionately violent, and it is stealing the lives of our brightest and best students, and it's evil. I want that culture to end. Karmelo Anthony should have lived a long and peaceful life, and Austin Metcalf should have lived a long and peaceful life. But brain rot and poison got into Karmelo Anthony's brain. His parents failed him, and now they are grifting off of a fundraiser. Karmelo Anthony could have just pled guilty and probably gotten a much lighter sentence. You just plead guilty. Typically, that, like, you don't have to go through a trial. You can negotiate a lot better with the judge. The judge will look on that positively, and maybe you get 20 instead of 50 or 99 years. Okay, it's still a big prison sentence, but at least you don't lose your whole life. They pled not guilty and went to trial, and now they're going to be found guilty. They did that because they wanted to raise money, and they're raising money. Look at this, recent donations. 59 seconds ago, 1 hour ago. People are still donating. And the only explanation to the donations now, if you have been following this trial, is that you hate white people and you want white people to die. This is the only explanation for this. Parents are evil, degenerates, sick. They should go to prison with their son. I wish I could pass a law that states that the parents should be held responsible for their children and their behavior and actions. think we'd have a much better society if that were the case. But unfortunately, that's not the law. Please, justice for Karmelo Anthony. Pray, ladies and gentlemen, for this verdict and for wisdom for the jury.